sure to check out Ageless Geeks for your figures and collectibles. So what is going on, my fellow collectors? How is everybody doing today? Daredevil 19 here, and today in this video I will be counting down my top 5 most disappointing figures of 2018. Now, I'm not saying these are the worst figures ever made. I'm not saying they're horrible figures. They were just disappointing to me, and I felt like they could have been much better. I mean, they're alright figures, maybe besides one or two of them, but they are still, some of them are still in my collection, while a couple of them are not. And the figure right here that we have on the screen right now is just an honorable mention. I don't think it deserves to be on the list because I did really like this figure. Could it have been better? Hell yeah, it could have been a lot better. They could have updated the hair sculpt instead of just giving us the same Vegeta hair sculpt that we have, since his hair is different when he is Majin Vegeta. That was something Tamashii Nations cheaped out on us. Another thing is no shading at all on the figure, no line work in the feet right there on the sculpted lines. Another thing is there was a QC issue with one of the faces. He was supposed to be looking off either to the right or to the left. I think it was to the right, but the face was looking straight ahead. A lot of people, pretty much everyone, had that issue with the one alternate face. But I mean, overall, it is a pretty good figure. I know Majin Vegeta is a lot of people's favorite version of Vegeta, so a lot of people really had high expectations for this figure, including myself. And another thing that a lot of people were disappointed with about the figure is the blue for his suit. It was a much darker blue in the anime and in the promo images than when we got it. It was a lighter blue plastic instead of looking like it was beautifully painted into a darker blue like how it looked in the promo images. Deceiving promo images, damn it. And I'm surprised because there's a decent amount of SH Figuarts that I do have on this list, but I don't think Vegeta deserved to be on the list, but he did deserve to have an honorable mention. Now, as I said before, I'm not saying these are the worst figures ever made. I still have some of them in my collection. Some of them I got rid of, and some of the figures I mentioned are probably going to be figures that you really like a lot. Maybe it might be some of the figures that was on your top 10 favorite figures of 2018 list. I'm not trying to make anybody mad or anything. It's just I was disappointed by these figures, let down. I feel like they could have been much better compared to what we really got. So don't take it to heart if I do list off a figure that you really like a lot. So without further ado, let's get into it right away and start it off with number 5. And coming in at number 5 is a figure I do not own anymore, and it technically released at the end of 2017, but I don't think I did a worst figures of 2017 video or list, so I'm going to throw it in this one here because it was close enough to 2018. And it is this figure right here. Like I said, I do not own it. Coming in at number 5 here is the SH Figuarts Justice League Batman. And Tamashii Nations, I feel like, dropped the ball pretty bad with this one, especially with the articulation. The articulation was so bad on this figure. His torso seemed too short. He should have been a little bit taller. They made him too short as well. He was included with a decent amount of accessories. Their wired cloth capes just, they use wire that's too thick. What they do is they take the bendy wire and then they put like plastic around it. It doesn't work like that. I don't know why they do that. I think they're doing it to prevent the bendy wire from breaking, but it's such a bad idea, man. You can't really pose the cape too much. I mean, you can pose it around if you really work at it, but it's not really a good wired cloth cape. But the biggest issue, I think, with this Batman was the articulation, and it was a pretty disappointing figure. I mean, it's an alright figure, but they definitely could have done so much better with it. So that is my number 5. Now let's move on to number 4. And coming in at number 4 is the SH Figuarts Infinity War Captain America. And this figure definitely was a pretty big disappointment to me. Tamashii Nations, I don't know, it just seemed like they went really lazy with this Captain America. They didn't even include the Wakanda shield with this Captain America. All they gave him was, I think, the Goblin Spear. I forgot that character's name. They gave him that spear, and you just get a couple of interchangeable hands, and that's it. Like, really, Tamashii Nations? No alternate facial expressions? You can't even give him his damn shield? Like, come on, man. The accessories were the biggest disappointing thing about this figure, and then what was also disappointing about the figure is the articulation. The articulation is pretty bad on it. There's some points that are good, but then there's other points that are just horrible, man. And the face sculpt, I don't know, man. I guess it's hard for them to get a Chris Evans face sculpt accurate, you know, but I mean, I feel like the accessories were the biggest letdown to this figure here, and that's why it made it on my list at number 4. Now coming in at number 3. And coming in at number 3 is a figure a lot of people do like, and it was on some people's top 10 favorite figures of 2018 list, and that is the SH Figuarts GOTENKS. Now, it's not an entirely bad figure. It has some pretty good articulation. You get some decent accessories. The detail was handled pretty well. Also, my main issues is way too tall. They made him way too tall. The other main issue I have with it is whenever you move the head, the faces fall right off. Like, what the hell is that all about? And then another thing is the elbow joints. You can't bend the elbow any further than that. You can't even get it 90 degrees. Like, come on, man. And another thing that I feel like was a missed opportunity is, I know it was called the Super Saiyan GOTENKS SH Figuarts, but why didn't they throw in the powered down hair sculpt? You know what I mean? I feel like that was a missed opportunity. We got it with Trunks multiple times, with Goku. We're getting it with the upcoming Vegeta, so I don't understand why they didn't include it with this GOTENKS. Plus, he is a smaller figure, but I mean, you still get some pretty cool accessories with the figure. He does have some good articulation, and like I said, the detail was alright. I just think he's way too tall. The elbow joints are just horrible on the figure, and the face falling off is just really bad, man. And even the paint, they painted the upper torso. You could see it's off compared to the rest of the skin tone there, but that is my number 3. Now moving on to my top 2, and coming in at number 2. And coming in at number 2 is a figure I feel like Tamashii Nations dropped the ball big time with. This figure looked great with the promo images, but then getting it in hand, it was just a really big letdown. Really big letdown. I was not happy with this figure. Really at all. I'm surprised it's still in my collection. Now, the detail is very bland on this figure, which I understand because she's in all black, but there's like no paintwork on this figure besides on the head. Another thing is her articulation is really bad, especially around the torso. You really can't get her in too many poses. I feel like the only reason why they made this figure is for her to sit on Batman's Batpod. That sounded a bit dirty. But that she really doesn't have good articulation. Another thing is she doesn't have any alternate faces. She just has that one basic stern facial expression. Yeah, they gave us the goggles, but what, you flip them up and she has the same facial expression? I feel like it should be mandatory for figure companies to at least give us 2 interchangeable faces, because it limits your posing options. And the accessories are alright. I think they could have included a couple more things with the figure, but really was disappointed with this. Plus, I have a QC issue with one of her heels being put on crooked as well. So that is my number 2. Now coming in at number 1, which most of you have probably guessed, and my most disappointed figure of 2018, as I said, as most of you guessed, is the Mezco 112 Collective Gladiator Hulk. Some of you like it, which is perfectly fine, but to me it's just a display piece. But even that, it doesn't really look that good as a display piece either, because the skin tone on the face, hands, and feet are totally different green compared to the rest of the green on the figure, like on the torso, legs, and arms. So even just having it as a display piece, it still looks odd with the discoloration of the greens with this Hulk. That was probably, well, was one of my biggest issues with the figure. Then the other one was the articulation. The articulation on this Hulk was complete trash. You can't even do really anything with it at all. When I was posting it around, taking pictures, I couldn't really do anything with it, and it's a shame, because a lot of people, including myself, had high expectations for this Hulk. It looked amazing in the promo images, then getting it in hand, it was just like, what the hell did Mezco do? It just, biggest disappointing figure to me of 2018. Just didn't live up to its hype, didn't live up to the expectations I had for it. I knew it wasn't going to have crazy articulation, but the articulation was so bad. My God, it's more of a damn statue. I don't know what the hell Mezco was thinking with this Hulk here. If you like the figure, more power to you. I'm glad that you like it. And if you like some of the other figures that I have on my list, more power to you. Again, I'm glad that you like these figures. Personally, for me, they were disappointing to me. I'm not saying they're the worst figures ever made. Well, maybe the Gladiator Hulk, but but I guess these figures did not exceed my expectations from seeing them in the promo images and then getting them in hand. But anyway, that is my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below what your top 5 most disappointing or what you think the top 5 worst figures of 2018 were. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you would like to support the channel, don't forget to subscribe and click on that notification bell. And if you liked it, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, oh well, I guess you didn't like it. But thanks for watching. I will see you later.